Welcome to 2023. We're here, believe it or not, ready or not, we are here. Now, most of you listening at some point have struggled with food and or probably both your body image. And maybe you had a full-blown eating disorder at one point, or maybe it's been more of like that subtle struggle with food that goes on in your mind that we've never directly addressed. Wherever you fall on this spectrum, I know that all of us here can agree that our relationship with food and our body, it is, like there's no better word, it's complicated. When New Year's hits, it's this time where there's pressure and opportunity to put energy into goal setting. And I think when we have this complicated history, it can feel really weird. Like, should I set a goal? Are goals diet culture based? What if it doesn't work? What if I can never actually make the change stick? Or yeah, I might start it for a minute, but will I eventually fall off the wagon? Like, when will I fail? And I know that coming from that complicated background brings up just a mix of feelings as we go into this new year. It makes New Year's tricky. So first of all, I want to say welcome to the club. You're not alone. I have struggled with this for many, many years. And all the girls I work with, we're all on the same page here, where it's like, I want to set the goals, I want to better myself, and at the same time, I don't want to set myself up for failure. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Second of all, I just want to say I'm really excited you're here, because I do know that while this is a complicated time and it can feel confusing, we can push beyond this discomfort, and we can look at taking care of our body in a new and different way. We can use the shift of time and looking into the new year as a opportunity to make a change that sticks, friends. Like, failure doesn't have to be a part of our normal rhythm, because there's a different way. Empowered eating is a journey. There is no timeline, deadline, there's no winning. Girl, this is all for you, authored by you, audited by you, and you have nothing to prove to anyone beyond you. So that's the best part about being here today, is there is no pressure and all the space for growth. Friends, if you're new here, I am so glad you're here, because this is a great episode to start with. I cannot wait to introduce you to empowered eating and the freedom, the energy, and the strength that it can provide. And if you are returning, hi, I'm so glad you're back. Thanks for being here again. And I'm excited to kick off season 2 of Fuel Her Awesome, where we are going to dive in deeper into empowered eating. So I decided to kick off season 2 at this time for a couple of reasons. One, it's the first of the year, so it just felt natural. And then 2, I'm shifting focuses here a little bit. Now, if y'all listened to my episode back in 2021 when I launched the podcast, my very first one, it's my most downloaded episode. It's called How I Went from an Eating Disorder and Dieting to Food Freedom. And I talked about my journey. Now, I recovered from an eating disorder about 17 years ago, but I have to tell you that isn't the end of my story. After that, I spent about 8 or 9 years living in intuitive eating. I didn't own a scale. I didn't compete in any fitness events because I moved intuitively. It was this really beautiful time that I took a time out and learned to just live in my body, be present and be mindful. And this was wonderful. And it's a place that I think many of us need to be for a long time. I mean, I spent almost a decade there. But then I went through this transition after I had my first kid. And it was really, I think, the continuation of this story where I'm finding a lot of y'all are at, where we've moved past the disordered eating. Maybe we have some of the hang-ups, like there's still some of the body image stuff, and we don't know which of it is rooted in lies, like that we're embedded in our negative narrative early on, or which part of it is like just we want to feel better in our body. Like maybe we haven't taken the best care of our body in the last few years because our energy was focused on other things. So there is this line, and I think, I want to invite you to look at it and decide what to do with that. I realized personally I wanted to see what my body was capable of physically. I wanted to see mentally how I could push my body in a healthy way from a healthy standpoint, but I wasn't sure how to do that without going back to some of this like old disordered and diet culture based thoughts that really pull out and emphasize that all or nothing or perfectionistic, I need more coffee, perfectionistic thinking. I wanted to see what I could do. So I started this journey, and that journey really led me to empowered eating. It's pieced together through my personal experience and evidence-based strategies, combining both my professional and my personal background. So today, as I kick off season 2 of Fuel Her Awesome and 2023, I want to invite you into this journey a little deeper as we talk about the key component to becoming an empowered eater. Welcome to 10 days of empowered eating. As we kick off 2023, we are building our skills strong to stand on this empowered eating platform. I know, fear of failure is so real, friend, and trusting the process, it just does not come easy. Combine that with all the sparkly new diets that make their way to our socials and the headlines. It's confusing and totally overwhelming. I am so glad you're here. I'm Jess, dietitian, wifey, boy mom, and total science and nutrition research junkie. I ask a lot of my body. I don't have the option to mistreat it, either mentally by beating it up, telling it should look a certain way, or physically by not fueling it right. I want to invite you into the Empowered Eating Club, where we make values-based and faith-led health goals and create a partnership with food that pairs biofeedback, which is really just a fancy word for how your body responds to the food you eat, and nutrition science. We pull all of these together, and I know that these three things are the formula for you in your breakthrough year. I am so excited to cheer you on as you make 2023 the year you make the impossible happen. For more support, check out my resources at jessbrownrd.com, or better yet, join me in Next Level Nutrition. We are kicking off our next group coaching mastermind the third week of January. Details can be found at jessbrownrd.com/next level nutrition. As for today, I'm so glad you're here, and I pray this tip helps you say no to the lies that are thrown your way, and yes to the awesome that you are. Grab your coffee, pop in your AirPods, and let's grow together with today's empowered eating tip. All right, you ladies ready for this? 2023 is going to be your breakthrough year. It is the year. It happens this year. And if you're already feeling doubt, I'm here to be your biggest cheerleader in your ear, telling you that this can be the year you break old patterns and the year you break through and find yourself in spaces you never thought you would be, specifically when it comes to food and your body. And I'm so excited to walk alongside you in that journey. So there's a few different ways that I can support you. Number one is here on the podcast. And I'm so excited this is actually day one of 10 days to empowered eating. This first 10 work days of the year, I'm gonna be dropping a mini episode for y'all in the morning. So today's is gonna be a bit longer because we're talking about the whole picture and that key piece of empowered eating. But starting tomorrow all the way until next Friday, y'all are gonna get little mini episodes dropped to you that are just meant to be this little voice of encouragement and giving you baby steps to kickstart your empowered eating journey. I know there's a lot of competition this time of year. There's this flashy diet, this sparkly diet, there's a lot. And some of it's really good and some of it's really powerful. So I don't want to put a bad label on any of that, but I do think before we start down some of those journeys, we have to be on solid ground ourselves. We can't be making those health changes and dietary changes out of insecurity or fear. Like, it needs to be from an empowered place. So I want to kickstart that for you guys this week and next by dropping you mini episodes every day, Monday through Friday, from now until next Friday. You guys in? You can listen to them as we go. You can catch up on the weekends. It's the best part about podcasting, whenever you have time. So that is one way we're kicking off this year. I've got a few other options for y'all. So Next Level Nutrition, which is my live 10-week group coaching program, is going to kick off the third week in January. Now, this group is super, super fun. It is 10 weeks of live coaching, me, you, and a gang of girls that are all on the same mission. It is so powerful to have a combination of that accountability and being in an environment that supports the mentality you are chasing. We will have different topics every week. We have live coaching. We have the opportunity to bring your wins, your struggles, and we can work through them together. And I love this because it really allows, I'm biased because I get to see you guys face to face and work with you guys at a more intimate level. It's so, so cool. And we're going to kick that off the third week in January. If y'all are interested in that, snag your spot by going over to jessbrownrd.com/next level nutrition. You can get all the information. You can apply to be a part of the program there. So pumped for that. And if you're not a group girl, I get it. Sometimes it's harder, although I will say this. Research shows that you get more out of a group than you do one-on-one coaching. Isn't that crazy? And it makes sense, right? Because one-on-one, it's easier to get kind of stuck in our own world and our own thoughts, but we're in a group, we hear other people's struggles and we hear problem solving from someone else's angle, and it's really powerful in our growth. So anyways, but I get it. Not everyone's a group girl. So if you're not a group girl, I can always support you on one-on-one coaching. You can find details about working with me one-on-one over at jessbrownrd.com. All right, you guys ready? We are talking about the key ingredient to empowered eating. So as I mentioned, I think we can all agree there's like this, almost this dichotomous thinking that comes up this time of year, where part of us want to set the big goals. We want to finally accomplish the big ticket items that we've always wanted to chase. And then we also have this little voice like sitting in the back of our head saying, yeah, but you'll be good till February. Or, yeah, but everybody says they're going to do that and then they just fall off after about 3 weeks. So that little voice of failure can pop up and prevent us from taking those first steps. I call this the repackaging of our all or nothing thinking. That same all or nothing or perfectionistic mentality that once kept us trapped in a disordered eating cycle or a negative relationship with our body now continues to keep us stuck as we are trying to allow ourselves to grow. It's telling us we can't take steps forward because we're not going to do it right. We're not going to get it right. There's a chance we'll fail. How could we possibly trust the process? I mean, blah, blah, blah. The list is long. Y'all know it. Y'all feel that. So today I want to talk about how to transition away from this and that key piece for making your empowered eating journey, notice I said journey, stick. My transition to empowered eating, I had mentioned, was both personal and professional. So from a personal level, I found myself, after my first kiddo was born, I was so low energy. I had poor gut health. I wasn't sleeping well. I mean, I had a newborn, so it wasn't all on me. I had hair loss. I was really starting to feel the effects of aging. There's like a switch that happens between 30 and 35. And I hear it just continues as I get closer to my 40s. But I knew that personally, I could do more to take care of my body, my immune system, and some of this, this I was feeling from the lack of sleep and having a newborn. Then there was a professional component. And at this time, I actually started working with UFC fighters here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's a really big sport for us. And it took me back. So I had been in this world of like eating disorder prevention and intuitive eating for a very long time. And I found a lot of value in that. And at the same time, I started working with these UFC fighters who had big goals and big dreams. And there's no way they could try to hit that scale or whatever weight they needed for their fight by intuitively eating. Like, it needed to be strategic, scientific, and hopefully safe.